Hi, art historians. Thought we would wrap up Module 7 with Native North America's Part 1 and now the American colonies. So we are in the American colonies 7.04, the colonial period, and the New Republic. So for this unit, we have 8 core works and 4 supplemental works. And for our date range, the colonial period itself is extending from around like the 1671 time frame to around 1806, and the New Republic is from 1788 to 1820. Now, the location, the New England colonies include Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and the middle colonies include New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And then we have the southern colonies of Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Now, we do have some architectural sites included in your core works, as well as some smaller scale works, and I'll go over the supplemental as well. So for architectural sites from the colonial period, we have Thomas Jefferson, or TJ, as I like to call him, his home, Monticello. For smaller scale works in the colonial period, we have portraits of John and Elizabeth Clark Freak we have John Singleton Copley's Paul Revere, Benjamin West's The Death of General Wolfe, and then in our New Republic, we have Houdon's George Washington, Lutz's Washington Crossing the Delaware, Trumbull's The Declaration of Independence, and Charles Willson Peel's Yarrow Mammoth. Now, for our supplemental works, we've got the Puritan Court Cupboard. We have Stuart's Lansdowne portrait of George Washington, another piece by Copley called The Boy with a Flying Squirrel, and another piece by Peel called The Artist in His Museum. So talking a little bit about what's happening during these time frames. The colonial period, like I said, dates to 1671 to 1776, and it is known for demonstrating art and culture that is shaped by a very wide mix of both indigenous, European, particularly British, Dutch, and Spanish, as well as African influences. So a lot of colonial art was religiously motivated, with many the paintings and carvings and architecture focusing on these biblical themes, but portrait painting did become quite popular amongst the wealthy. So artists like John Singleton Copley emerged and was really, really known for capturing the likenesses of these colonial elites. Now, the development of folk art, however, included quilts, and furniture, and ceramics, and is often characterized by regional styles as well as more practical functions. And so these colonial artists are really colonial architects are also blending European styles with local materials as well as climate considerations. So, for example, the Georgian and federal styles kind of come into play here. The growth of colonial literature was also influenced by Enlightenment ideas. Notable writers like Benjamin Franklin and Phyllis Wheatley. We also have folk music traditions beginning to emerge with influences from various immigrant groups, including African rhythms and European melodies. So really a continued mix going forward. Skilled craftspeople like blacksmiths and silversmiths contributed in a really unique colonial aesthetic with handmade goods that were really valued for their quality. Now, moving into the end of the colonial period, we now approach the New Republic, which dates from 1776 to like that's the colonial period again. So the New Republic is dating from, that would be 1788 to 1820. And so what we're seeing here is art that begins to reflect the development of the American identity, with focusing on themes of liberty, democracy, and the landscape of a new nation. And so popularity of neoclassical art and architecture, which is inspired by Greece and Rome, definitely perfectly symbolize these democratic ideals. And so now we have a growth of American landscape painting with artists like Thomas Cole, who basically just had a big old crush on nature. And he is really emphasizing the beauty of the American wilderness and its moral significance. So the continued importance of portraiture is still around. We have notable figures like Gilbert Stuart painting very influential leaders like George Washington. We also have the establishment of cultural institutions like museums and libraries, which is really reflecting the desire to cultivate national culture, which is really important. Now we have the rise of political pamphlets and publications that are really disseminating revolutionary ideas and fostering public debate and allowing people to have a little bit more of a voice than they previously did. We also have the growth of theater and music as forms of entertainment, with increasing performances in both the European classics and original American works. And last but not least, we do have artistic representations of Native Americans beginning to appear in very romanticized and stereotypical forms, reflecting a lot of tensions and misconceptions. So although we are kind of embracing that sense of freedom and democracy, we are not necessarily following our own policies in regards to how we're treating others, and that is absolutely reflected interested in the artwork that you'll see in this era as well. So there's a couple really good pieces in here that I absolutely love. Washington crossing the Delaware is a gigantic piece. Houdon's George Washington is really interesting. So have a good time exploring a little bit more about these works of art, and I will see you again for Module 8.